Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Joel Madden, and this is Artist Friendly. On this episode, I'll be talking to 19-year-old Grammy Award-nominated, multi-platinum certified singer-songwriter from Nashville, Tennessee, Gayle. Let's go.
That's my kind. I don't want no bad times. I don't want to have bad.
Gayle.
Hello.
Thanks
Hi.
for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here.
I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to talk to you.
I'm very excited to talk to you.
Where should we start?
Oh gosh. Where are you from?
Maryland.
Maryland. How is it like growing up in Maryland?
I was from a very small place, so it was very far away from everything. So I think that was really nice because I was really disconnected from generally from pop culture, even though in the 90s, 80s and 90s, it wasn't like today. But I think it definitely put us in our own little world where we were always imagining things. And I think that's how we became artists. But Maryland, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Dallas, Texas.
Oh, okay.
But I moved to Nashville when I was 12. So I a lot of my childhood I associate with kind of being in Texas, and then becoming a person I kind of associate with Nashville.
Why'd you move into Nashville?
I just wanted to do music, and I was so persistent about it. I was just one of those kids who started singing when they were 7, and I heard Aretha Franklin sing, and I was just I want to be Aretha Franklin when I grow up. And it was tis not I. I am not Aretha Franklin whatsoever.
Well, there can only be one.
There truly can only be one.
And there can only be one you.
That is also fair. She she's my icon, and that's why I started singing. And then my mom played sports when she was younger, and she went to college for soccer.
Okay.
And she was a female athlete in the 80s trying to do it semi-professionally, and that wasn't necessarily a conventional career choice.
Yeah.
And her parents really supported her in that. And so she kind of took the mentality that her parents took with her in soccer and went with that in music. And so she kind of made her own club sports was kind of the way she was thinking about it when she was taking me to vocal lessons, or I would play the most random gigs. I would play rodeos and sheep sellers convention.
Yeah.
I once auditioned. There's this thing called Rural American Idol. I drove 5 hours somewhere random. Rural. Yeah, I can't say
the
rural.
The rural jurors.
Rural American Idol.
Can you say rural jurors?
Rural juror. Oh no, I can't. Why am I having such a struggle?
Rural
with that
jurors is a joke in 30 Rock, I believe.
Really?
Or maybe I think it was a Tina Fey show, but it's funny. Rural. The word rural is hard to
it's
say.
A hard one.
So your mom had a real idea of, I think what that is a process for building success and progress. Mm-hmm. So that sounds pretty cool, because I think a lot of parents look at the arts and they don't really understand that there is actually a place to build a career in the arts. Mm-hmm. And that, even if you start painting, but it leads you down a road where you have all these options as an artist, whether you become a painter or you become something in and around design. Mm-hmm. I think that a lot of parents don't understand art as a job.
Yeah.
And it feels like your mom, coming from sports, was less focused on the result of what you become, but more let's build a process and a strategy around going after it. Mm-hmm. So at 12, would you say you were going for it?
Yeah.
So it was the mission you were on at that age.
Cool. At 7, I think I had career day or something at school recently. So I was kind of thinking what do I want to do for the rest of my life? I was I take everything very literally and very seriously.
Amazing.
And
so do I.
I saw Aretha Franklin sing, and I was I want to be Aretha Franklin when I grow up. And everything I've ever done has just been to do that since. And I would say I've been doing music professionally for the past 2 years. But
right. Would that be when you got your record deal?
I would say it's kind of when I started touring.
Right.
And started really meeting people in the business, was able to get a deal, kind of got signed to an agency, working with signed writers for the first time. I that was the first time I think I was being set up with published sessions and
Yeah.
like shaking hands and like really meeting people. I came up in the like writers round circuit in Nashville.
Yeah.
Like, and I still can't, but I used to do like some of the like Broadway gigs. I wasn't even old enough to get in. I would have like a big X basically on my forehead to be able to play half of those venues. And
Yeah.
and so a lot of my life and time in Nashville was like going to writers rounds, meeting random strangers, and then writing songs with them. And then I would just perform the songs that I wrote with the people I met at writers rounds at more writers rounds, and then meet more people and just and I kept writing with them, kept performing it. But I would say when I like was like in the business of the music industry was kind of when I put out ABC, because that was my first song through a label. And that was just like kind of me shooting in the dark. Like I was just kind of like, I don't know what to do, so I'm just gonna put this out and see what happens.
I think that's what we all do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if any of us come into it with a real understanding of how the plan. We think we know at a young age how it's going to work, but then you get into it and I mean, in 2 years at your age, you're 19?
Yes.
So, goddamn, that is so young to have accomplished what you've accomplished.
Coming from you, that's like
You
so
probably don't realize how accomplished you are. Most of us don't, I think. We don't walk around with like our resume all the time and look at it. You're Grammy nominated, right?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
So confirm that. That's not a lie.
It's not a lie.
Okay. You have a multi-platinum single. I think it's like 4 times platinum the last time I checked.
Yes.
So there you go. You've toured multiple tours. I don't think I was on my first real tour until I was your age. And even that was young by standard of like what I've experienced over the last 25 years and seeing all the different ways artists make it. Some people don't get their first tour until they're in their mid-20s, late 20s. I mean, really, it takes all types, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not just that you toured with Taylor Swift. Taylor, Tay-Tay.
T-Swizzle.
Yeah, we're Swifties in our house.
Yes.
But the tours before that, so all the touring you've accomplished at the level you have, you've written songs for other people, so you're a songwriter and an artist. You likely produce. Do you produce things?
I do, yes.
Yeah, so I suspected you were a producer too, because it doesn't seem like you'd be satisfied with just knowing how to do one thing. All of that says to me, here's a person who is extremely driven to figure this thing out and refuses to quit, because I know how much rejection's probably weaved in there in that experience, especially if you started at a young age. It hurts more when the younger you are, the more it hurts.
Yeah.
Still hurts when you're older, but you get a little bit more.
You just understand it more.
You understand it more. It says to me that you have almost the kind of drive it would take like an athlete to make it at their sport, which kind of goes back to your mom. Are you guys close?
Yes. She's a single mom. And so like, she's my rock. She's my world. She's everything. And one thing I really appreciate about her that I feel like I don't give her enough credit for is she knew that music was more than just singing on stage. And I feel like for her to see that and to seek that and to try her best to understand that for her kid and to try and teach me everything that she could possibly learn about the music industry, I really appreciate that insight that she had, because I even like with Taylor Swift, like she saw Taylor Swift on stage and she was like, this is more than her just singing pretty. It's what she's saying, and it's like what she's singing about, and it's the way she's presenting herself on stage. It's the way she's connecting with the audience. That is the important part of music. And then she kind of was like, I will work as hard as you work, So she kept doing things for me to kind of like casually, consistently prove that I wanted to do music. Like my first guitar was like a toy guitar. It was like $25. And until I learned how to play it, she bought me a real guitar.
Wow.
And then after I learned how to write songs, I was writing songs for a year. And then she took me to Nashville to write a song, and not a lot of parents would do that. Not a lot of parents would also just have like the freedom or time to do it. She worked from home and, and she really like believed in me which not a lot of kids get to have. Their parents believe in them so deeply.
Take them seriously.
She really did take me seriously. And I also put on a really big responsibility on myself. Like after we moved to Nashville, like I was like, well, time to
gotta make it.
Like I was like, yo,
moving our life here.
Gotta like I live or die. Like I gotta make it. Like I felt this responsibility like for my family. I was like, if we move to Nashville for this shit, like I gotta fucking do it. Like there's no other choice. Like I have to do it.
Don't you feel like though that pressure is what we need? It's like do or die.
I think a little bit. I don't think there's sometimes like I try my best to not always go into this like I need to have the scarce mentality to like keep my work ethic. Like I like to believe I can be like happy
abundant
and still like work hard.
Yeah.
But I think for me, like I have this drive to kind of have the freedom to do whatever I want in my life. And that's like the biggest thing I always go to is like in music, I just want to do whatever I want to do in life, in my life and for my family and everything. And so that's also the like main motivator that I always go to is that I'm really like working for freedom in my job and in my life and trying to hopefully give freedom to other people in my family as well. But yeah, I do think it is a big, especially when you're younger and you haven't like had any true success. I do think that's a really big motivator for me and for a lot of people.
I think it's incredibly special what you just told me and what you know, I know it's not the sum of your story and your relationship with your mom, but it's a great description of the top line of it. Is she had her own experience, right? Was obviously driven. Obviously you have to be to make it at any level of sports past, you know, being a kid, playing in high school and then going beyond that and going for after a career in sports. You have to be really disciplined and really driven, as well as talented. But then to take all the information that you've gained, which is, I think, actually like a little bit how I try to parent my kids, is take all the information you've gained from your own personal successes and failures and then apply that. And I'm going to be all over the place here because you have my brain going in a bunch. Because like, this is the first time I've ever actually talked to anyone on this show that is coming into music that it feels like they had a support system that was as engaged as they were in the process with them, and then actually applying like strategies for success. And for people listening, I always try to underscore things that I think they can use in their own life. Yeah. Right? Whether they're a parent or they're building their own dream of whatever kind that could be. And in order to have success, we do have to have a strategy. We have to. We have to be conscious of our strategy as much as we can be. Some people are just they have such good instincts. They tornado through and they have success. But if you could track it and put it on paper, we could identify the things they did to have success. And then we could replicate those things across a bunch of other people. That's what I believe. Yeah. So I believe that success is part talent, part work ethic and effort, and then strategy. How are we going to do this? And I think that when you tell me the relationship that you had with your mom, it's such a blessing when you think about this person lived their whole life, had you, and then started applying information. They had done all the research and development that they could in their own category. And then they brought it over here to your category and your dream, and they started trying to implement those things. It's not all perfect, right? I know there's lots of I'm sure there's tons of stories you have of things that didn't work and all that. But in general, it feels like the relationship you guys had was a foundational part of you sitting here as a Grammy-nominated, multi-platinum singer-songwriter, touring 19-year-old.
When you say it like that,
You're
that's
ahead.
so crazy.
It's crazy
That's
because
so-
think about this. You've
oh my
accomplished in a few years of your adolescent young life, right? You're certainly an adult now, but if you summed up even the last 5 years, just call it 5, you've accomplished what takes other people 15, sometimes 20, sometimes 10. Easily could be 10 to 20 years of work that you've accomplished in 5. If we trust our experience and our instincts and what got us here, we can continue to make decisions in line with our success.